Picture this scenario. Two friends graduate high school the same year. Same grades, same ambitions, same drive to build a better life than their parents had. The first friend does what everyone tells him to do. He applies to a 4-year university, gets accepted, takes out student loans, and spends the next 4 years getting a degree in business administration. He graduates at 22 with a diploma and $68,000 in student loan debt. The second friend does something that gets him mocked at every family dinner. He skips college entirely, gets an apprenticeship, studies online, starts building skills and income at 18 instead of 22. Fast forward to age 35. The first friend, the college graduate, earns $72,000 a year. He's educated, credentialed, respected at dinner parties. He's also still paying $600 a month in student loans, has $14,000 in his retirement account, and hasn't been able to buy a house because his debt-to-income ratio is too high. The second friend, the one everyone called reckless, earns $81,000 a year. He has $94,000 in investments. He bought a house at 28. He has 0 student debt. Same country, same time period, same intelligence, completely different financial outcomes. And here's the number that should make your stomach drop. According to research from Georgetown University's Center on Education and the Workforce, 40% of college graduates are working jobs that don't even require a degree. They borrowed a fortune to get a credential they don't use to compete for jobs they could have gotten anyway. And they spent 4 of their prime earning years in a classroom instead of building wealth. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how the college system turned the most important financial decision of your life into a trap, and who profits every single time you take the bait. If you've ever looked at your student loan balance and thought, I did everything right, so why does it still feel like I'm losing? This video is going to make a lot of things finally click into place. My name is Rick, and I spend way too much time thinking about the systems that sell you a future and deliver a bill. College isn't inherently bad. Education isn't the enemy, but the financial structure built around higher education in America is one of the most sophisticated wealth extraction machines ever constructed. And it was designed to activate when you were 17 years old and had no idea what compound interest was. If this kind of content makes you think differently about money and the systems around it, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Let's get into it. Here's the first thing you need to understand about the college trap. The decision is engineered to be made at the worst possible moment. You are 17 years old. You don't have a prefrontal cortex that's fully developed. Neuroscience tells us that part of the brain, the part responsible for long-term financial reasoning, doesn't fully mature until your mid-20s. You don't understand loan interest. You've never paid rent. You've never made a payroll. And at this exact moment, adults you trust, your parents, your teachers, your guidance counselor, sit you down and say, pick a school. Your entire future depends on this. And then they hand you paperwork to borrow $40,000, $60,000, sometimes $120,000. And nobody in that room treats it like the financial decision it is. They treat it like a rite of passage. That's not an accident. It's architecture. The federal student loan system was expanded significantly through the Higher Education Act of 1965 and has been modified to make borrowing easier, not harder, at every legislative update since. Today, student loan debt in the United States has reached $1.75 trillion, according to the Federal Reserve. That is more than total U.S. credit card debt. It is more than total auto loan debt. And unlike every other form of debt in America, unlike a bad mortgage, unlike a failed business loan, student loan debt cannot be discharged in bankruptcy. You are legally bound to it for life. They set the trap before you knew what a trap was. Let me run the numbers that the University Admissions Office will never put in their brochure. The average cost of a 4-year degree at a private university in America is now $220,000, including tuition, room, board, and fees, according to the Education Data Initiative. Even at a public in-state university, the average 4-year total cost is roughly $102,000. But the loan amount is only part of the trap. Here's what the math actually looks like. Let's take a student who borrows $68,000, right around the national average for bachelor's degree holders who took on debt. The standard repayment plan is 10 years. At a 6.5% federal interest rate, that student will pay approximately $772 per month for a decade. Total repaid, $92,640. Interest paid on top of principal, $24,640. But wait, it gets worse. That $68,000 borrowed isn't just $68,000 lost. It's $68,000 that never got invested. If that same $68,000 had been placed into a simple S&P 500 index fund at age 18, growing at the historical average of 10% annually, by age 48, 30 years later, it would be worth approximately $1,185,000. You didn't just spend $68,000, you spent $68,000 plus the $24,640 in interest, plus you gave up over $1 million in potential compound growth. The true cost of that average student loan debt, closer to $1.3 million in lifetime wealth destruction. And that's before we factor in the 4 years of income you didn't earn while you were in school. An 18-year-old who enters the workforce instead of college and earns just $35,000 a year for 4 years makes $140,000 during the time the college student is accumulating debt. If even half of that, $70,000, is invested at 10% annually from age 18 to 60, it becomes approximately $3.9 million. The college graduate doesn't just start behind, they start in a hole, and the hole has compound interest attached to it. Now, you might be thinking, Rick, but college graduates earn more. There's a college wage premium. The data supports going to college. And I hear you. That argument is the backbone of every admissions pitch you've ever received. So let's actually look at the data. Not the version they show you, but the complete version. Yes, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median weekly earnings for a bachelor's degree holder in 2023 were $1,493, compared to $899 for someone with only a high school diploma. That's a difference of roughly $30,000 per year, and over a 40-year career, that does add up significantly. But here's what that statistic doesn't tell you. First, it's an average. It includes surgeons and software engineers alongside unemployed philosophy graduates working retail. Median earnings for a bachelor's degree in psychology, $42,000. In education, $40,000. In fine arts, $35,000. Meanwhile, median earnings for a licensed plumber, $61,000. An electrician, $60,000. An HVAC technician, $57,000. All without a dollar of student debt. Second, that income premium takes years to materialize, if it materializes at all. Remember, 40% of college graduates are underemployed, according to Georgetown. They're not earning the premium wage. They're earning slightly above minimum wage while paying $600 a month in loans. Third, and this is the one the admissions office will never mention, the wage premium study doesn't account for the head start. The person who skips college and enters the workforce at 18 has 4 extra years of earnings, 4 extra years of work experience and promotions, and 4 extra years of investment growth compounding on their savings. The college graduate has to play catch-up from a deficit. A 2019 analysis by economist Brian Kaplan in his book The Case Against Education estimated that the actual private financial return on a college degree, once you subtract tuition, loan interest, and foregone earnings, is far lower than the gross wage premium suggests. For many majors, it's negative. You were sold an average as if it applied to everyone. It doesn't. Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus came from a middle-class family. His parents were first-generation college graduates who believed completely, with all their hearts, that education was the ticket. When Marcus got accepted to a respected private university, they celebrated like it was the best day of their lives. The tuition was $52,000 a year. His parents took out Parent Plus loans. Marcus took federal loans. 4 years later, Marcus had a degree in communications and $71,000 in debt. His parents had $84,000 in debt. Combined, $155,000 in student loans across the family. Marcus got a job in marketing for $46,000 a year. At 28, he is still paying loans. He cannot qualify for a mortgage. He is not investing. He has roughly $4,000 in savings. He's not behind because he's irresponsible. He's behind because the structure of this system took 10 years of his financial life before he could even start building. Now, let me tell you who did win from Marcus's college experience. The university collected $208,000 over 4 years. The university's endowment, at many private schools, is invested in hedge funds and private equity and pays zero federal income tax because universities are nonprofits. The salaries of administrators at private universities have increased 39% since 2000, according to the American Association of University Professors. The federal government collected loan origination fees and interest on every loan Marcus and his parents signed. The textbook publishing industry, dominated by a handful of companies like Pearson and McGraw-Hill, charged Marcus $1,200 a year for books that were often barely used. Marcus paid. Everyone else collected. This is not an accident. According to economist Richard Vedder, federal student loan availability has directly enabled universities to raise tuition far faster than inflation, a phenomenon called the Bennett Hypothesis, named after Reagan's Secretary of Education William Bennett, who first documented it in 1987. When the government makes it easy to borrow money for college, colleges raise prices to absorb that money. The more loans are available, the higher tuition goes. You are not the customer. You are the product that generates the cash flow. But here's why the math alone doesn't explain the full trap. Because even people who know the numbers still send their kids to expensive schools. Why? Because the college trap isn't just financial. It's psychological. There's a concept in behavioral economics called social norming. When every family in your neighborhood sends their children to 4-year universities, when your culture treats the college acceptance letter as the ultimate validation, when your parents measure their success as parents by the name of the school on the sweatshirt, the social cost of not going to college starts to feel higher than the financial cost of going. Parents who sacrificed and worked hard for decades see college as the delivery mechanism for the better life they want for their children. Telling them to skip college feels like telling them their sacrifice was for nothing. So they sign the papers. They take the loans. They say, we'll figure it out. And the industry counts on exactly that. There's also the credentialism trap, the idea that the degree itself has value independent of what was learned. Employers have increasingly used degree requirements as a filtering mechanism, not because the degree proves competency, but because it reduces the pile of resumes on their desk. A 2021 Harvard Business School study found that many job postings require a college degree for roles where, historically, the same job was done effectively by people without one. The credential was artificially inflated by employer demand, which was inflated by the oversupply of credentialed workers, which was created by the loan system that made borrowing easy, which was designed by institutions that profit from enrollment. It's a closed loop, and you are inside it. Now let's talk about what actually exists outside the trap, because this is where it gets genuinely interesting. The trades. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median annual salary for a licensed electrician in the U.S. is $60,240. For a plumber, $61,550. For an elevator installer or repairer, one of the fastest growing trade jobs, $99,000. These jobs require 2 to 5 years of apprenticeship training. They carry zero student debt, and because skilled tradespeople are increasingly scarce, the average age of a licensed plumber in America is 58, according to the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors Association. Demand will grow for decades. Community college in certification paths. An associate's degree in nursing takes 2 years and costs roughly $10,000. Registered nurses in the U.S. earn a median salary of $81,220 per year, with many earning significantly more. That is a 2-year, $10,000 investment, generating $80,000 annual income. Compare that to a 4-year, $120,000 investment, generating a $46,000 marketing salary. Coding bootcamps and tech certifications. The average salary for a software developer in the U.S. is $124,000 per year, according to the BLS. Many of the fastest-growing tech companies, including Google, Apple, and IBM, have publicly removed four-year degree requirements from their hiring criteria. Google's own certificate programs, available on Coursera for roughly $300, are now accepted as equivalent to a degree for many of their own job openings. Entrepreneurship. This one is harder to quantify but impossible to ignore. The average small business owner in the United States earns roughly $70,000 per year, but the ceiling is unlimited. The equity is owned by them, and they spent $0 on a degree to get started. I'm not telling you college is always wrong. I am telling you that college as a default, as an unexamined cultural reflex, is a financial decision disguised as a milestone. The question nobody asked you at 17 was, what is the return on investment of this specific degree at this specific school for this specific career compared to every other path available to you? That question should have been the first one. Instead, nobody asked it at all. So what do you actually do with this information? Let me give you the framework that changes everything. Step 1. Before any college decision, run the ROI calculation. Take the total four-year cost of the school, add the interest on the loans, add the foregone income for 4 years at whatever you'd realistically earn instead. That's your total investment. Then research the median starting salary for graduates of that specific program at that specific school, not the average for the degree nationally, the actual placement data for that institution. Divide the annual salary premium by the total investment. If the payback period is more than 8 to 10 years, the math does not work. Step 2. Exhaust every alternative before signing a loan. Community college for 2 years, then transfer to a state school, cuts total cost by 40 to 50%. In-state public universities cost roughly half of private schools for the same credential. Trade apprenticeships pay you to learn rather than charging you to learn. Certification paths in technology, healthcare, and finance can produce equivalent or higher income in 2 years instead of 4. Step 3. If you do go to college, treat the major like a business decision. Passion is real, but debt is also real. If you want to study literature or art history, find a school where you can do it without borrowing $80,000. A degree in a high-demand field from a state school with minimal debt is a fundamentally different financial instrument than the same degree from a private university at $200,000. Step 4. Start investing before you do anything else. If you enter the workforce at 18 and invest just $200 a month in a low-cost index fund, by the time you are 65 at the historical 10% average, you have $1.9 million. The person who waited until 22 to start and invested the same amount has $1.3 million. Those 4 years are worth $600,000. Time is the asset. Don't spend it paying tuition. The trap works because it was designed to be activated before you understood what you were agreeing to. Now you understand it. The college trap isn't about education being bad. It's about a system that monetized education, that took something genuinely valuable and wrapped it in $200,000 of debt, 4 years of foregone income, and a credential arms race that nobody voted for. The families that escape this trap aren't the ones who got lucky. They're the ones who ask the question everyone else was too scared to ask. Is this actually worth it? Or does it just feel like it is? You now have the math. You now have the framework. The question is whether you'll use it, or whether the next 17-year-old in your family will sign the papers before anyone runs the numbers. If this video made you see the system differently, share it with someone who has a kid about to make this decision. It might be the most valuable thing they watch this year. Hit the like button, subscribe to Rick Untrapped, and watch this video next, because the trap I cover there connects directly to everything we talked about today. You were never supposed to see this math. Now you have. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice.